Okay.
All right. We're now live. Let's see if
we are live.
Oh. Okay. So now it's giving it looks like it's giving a notification link, so you can send that out.
So where's the notification link? In YouTube, right?
On YouTube. Yep.
Okay, view my channel. Maybe here.
Yep, there it is.
Top Heisman. There we go. Okay.
I'm just watching the link to make sure. Did you get it sent over?
I am copying it right now. And going to X.
We are just sending it to certain socials. We would normally do a restream, but we just can't just yet. Software is not playing nice. So for anybody that's watching, which I know there isn't anybody right now.
Where would it show if anybody was watching? Because I don't see a count of like 0 or anything.
On the screen with all three of us, do you see where it says live 720p? It shows you how long we've been recording.
Yeah.
Does it show you a little eyeball?
No.
Okay. Oh.
I don't see an eyeball either, but that's probably because
y'all are guests.
The software is not good.
Yep. We're guests, technically speaking.
If you go to the YouTube channel, it'll show you how many people are watching. So
all right.
All righty. Well, are we ready to get started?
Let's get started.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, today we are going to go over our Heisman picks. We're going to see how wrong Dennis is, because we all know that Dennis is going to be the guy who's going to have the wrong guy, even though he picked Jaden Daniels last year. Yep. We will then talk about our coaching hot seats and kind of who we think is going to have a interesting year with their team. You were right about a lot, except for Louisville. And then we'll talk about our game of the week, which is going to be pretty short this week since it is week 0. But hey, we got college football, so we're all happy here.
That's right. All right. Hopefully that worked out just fine.
I'm sure it did.
This is our first time using live stream anything, and so we realized that it was a lot harder to do pre-recorded stuff like we usually do.
We got some trial under fire here.
Yeah, so apologies to anybody that's done an episode with us in the past few weeks, and either the episode's not up or data got lost. Don't know what happened. That wasn't Luke. That was on my end. Anyways, so how are y'all doing tonight?
Oh man, kids are in bed. It's been a long night or long day. See, it's already a long day. But hey, you know what? It's the week that we have college football, so you cannot be upset. I can't complain.
Yeah,
I feel like it kind of makes the week a little bit longer though, because we're waiting all for Saturday to come.
Sure.
Yes,
I mean,
at least it is for me.
Yeah, I mean, even if there's only maybe one game that we're excited about, it's still college football, and it's going to be a good game. I think that's going to be a great game. But yes, the anticipation continues to build.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. And honestly, like I was looking at the other games, I think there's 4 that we have this week, and I'm going to watch as many as I can. Like, even though the other 3 are, what is it, like Hawaii and Delaware State and SMU, Nevada, and Montana State, New Mexico. But you know what? This week, it's all of them. I'm watching.
I'll take these games over nothing. So
exactly. Until we can get some real teams playing. Yes, I said that, FSU.
Oh, FSU fans. You're going to be so sad in the chat. But if you're salty, chat, that's fine.
Yeah, be salty. That's fine. Because salty is the same as your tears from last year.
Yep.
Well, let's talk Heisman, guys.
Yeah, let's go there first before we.
Let's just get into Heisman.
So yeah, so our Heisman contenders, like, it's always fun to try to pick who is going to be our top Heisman contender. And again, like, we've only been doing this for now. We're going into our second year. But last year we had some wild cards, but then I think a lot of us were in agreement that, like, Jaden Daniels was kind of on the rise. The person that definitely called him out was Dennis, obviously. But I remember I had him as kind of like a tertiary pick or something like that. I think I had Bo Nix as my main, but
which, I mean, he was a good pick, honestly.
Like,
I think I had Michael Penix, if I remember, and I mean, Bo Nix did well.
Yeah. I think the only one that we didn't account for was Milrow. Like,
he came out of nowhere.
He just came out of nowhere, and arguably he shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good, but he wasn't great.
Yeah, so, and I'm pretty sure that I made the homer whoever Ohio State's quarterback is, because last year we were going through the quarterback whatever it's called, quarterback issues, trying to figure out who was starting.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, I did the same thing. I was just like, I can't be a fan if I don't say Joe Milton.
Right.
And, I ate my words all season long. So
yep. Well, this year, like, looking at just to kind of get into who the odds-on favorite according to, I got BetMGM up right now. So Dylan Gabriel is the odds-on favorite currently at plus 700. I think it's an easy one. Yep. I mean, he's one of the most, long-term. He's been there a while. He's on a new team. He's got better weapons than he did last year.
Yeah. He's a dual threat quarterback as well. So it's like, you're going to see a lot of similarities, probably what we had with Daniels last year.
Yep. Well, and arguably, if you see the type of uplift you saw from Bo Nix from Auburn to Oregon,
right?
You see that same kind of uplift, like percentage-wise. Dylan Gabriel is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Right behind him at 750 is Carson Beck. So, I mean, I think that's, you got the number one team. Quarterback's always going to be right there. So, but I
think it's just by name. I don't think it's actually by, like, actual stats or him actually would deserve it. At least not right now.
I mean, I think I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. I think that he's there because of what team he plays for. If he was on, I don't know, Arizona or, anywhere else, he's probably not going to.
Is that what you're alluding to, a particular pick you're picking later?
And then Quinn Ayers. Look, last year I couldn't say his name either. Quinn Ewers and Jalen Milrow are both at plus 1,000. Jackson Dart at plus 1,200, Will Howard at plus 1,400, and then Nico at plus 1,500. So down there, plus 2,000 are Garrett Nussmeier and Cam Ward and Riley Leonard. So we'll stop there. But those are who the BetMGM has as their odds-on favorite.
Gotcha.
But obviously, we are not BetMGM.
No,
we are the Tailgate.
We're more accurate in our picks.
We're more accurate, and we're not going to give you money if we're wrong.
Yeah. Or right.
Or right. Yeah. Either way.
Money either way.
Yeah, right. We want you to give us money. Yeah. Come on. We need somebody to never mind.
Super chat. Whatever.
That's right. So, but let's, what, Dennis, since you don't have a conference in the fight, why don't you start us off at who you think?
Why you got to make it personal? Why you got to make it personal, man?
You always make bald jokes, so I gotta pull that up.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. Like, when you tilt your head like that, like to the left a little bit, your left, I get better lighting on my screen. There you go. Thank you.
Well, that was my left. This is
okay.
There you go.
See, it's like a shining star right
There's
there.
A glare.
You're gonna shine more than
there you go. Shooting star. It's a shooting star.
Shooting star.
No, I mean, when it comes to MGM, like, I do have Dylan Gabriel there, like, at top of my list, but I feel like he's a little bit too easy of a pick. And so to kind of more or less kind of avoid that ones I kind of have is I'm actually kind of favoring Riley Leonard if he's able to stay healthy in Notre Dame, just because being an independent, Notre Dame already has that strong fan base, the love of the media, and I feel like that's only going to add to him. And even what he did at Duke, I feel like being at Notre Dame, he's going to have a stronger team, stronger skill players. He similar to Dylan Gabriel, I feel like he's going to be able to elevate his play.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get it. I just don't know if he's going to stay healthy. And
I think that's the biggest question.
I mean, that's a big part of mine as well. And of course, I got to go with Jalen Daniels on that same part. If he's healthy, he could definitely be a factor.
Sure.
Well, and Jaden Daniels last year tried not to be healthy. Every other game, he tried to get himself out of there.
It was every 3 weeks. I think I had it where he's like, "Oh no, he's due for a hit. He's due for a massive hit."
Mm-hmm.
So, like those two, I feel like I kind of like those kind of as wild cards, without including Dylan Gabriel in that. One, I feel like it's probably going to work out more than others. Is the Jalen Milroe?
Okay.
I feel like having a offensive your head coach being offensive minded, and him just kind of, if he's able to kind of fall into a skill set that DeBoer needs and just kind of opens up that kind of style of offense, his passing skills are going to be elevated for sure, and he's going to be showing more people saw him as a scrambler than a quarterback, and I feel like he's going to be able to show both, but definitely have just a stronger passing game, and it's going to elevate him higher too. And the fact that Alabama has a lot of things against him, I feel like if he's able to bring Alabama to the college football playoffs, especially the SEC championship, he has to be a contender.
Yeah, and I would argue, if you're going to look at schedule and you're going to kind of factor in if they do well throughout the entire schedule, Carson Beck has got to be right up there as well. With as tough as a schedule as Georgia has, if they get through that gauntlet this year, I think there's like 6 weeks in a row that they're just playing.
It definitely would be more deserving this year than I feel
then he would be very deserving of that if he's elevating his game there. So
yeah.
I personally I have Carson Beck as my number one Heisman pick. Okay. And the reason for that is not only because of the fact that you're really going to be able to see it. He's going to have to leave it on the field this year. There's not going to be any, he's not going to have any excuses, and other teams are not going to have the excuse like we've had the past few years where we've been like, oh, they got a cupcake schedule. So, and that's it. But the other thing is, I think coming out of last year, I think Carson Beck was one of the only QBs that was NFL ready that decided not to go to the NFL. I think that there were some QBs that went to the NFL that weren't NFL ready, and you're not gonna see them show up on the field for a little while, and because they're gonna have to develop a lot more. They have some raw talent, but I think that there's something that he showed towards the end of last year that shows some incredible maturity and growth in comparison to where he was at the beginning of the year. And if he's just starting from where he left off at the end of last year, he's going to be tough to stop.
Yeah. So I can definitely see that. For me, I've actually got 3 that I'm going to talk about here as my top 3 picks. Now I'll start with kind of my bottom, and this is going to be kind of my dark horse, my if kind of everything goes right for this team. So if everything goes
Judkins.
No, but hey, I will mention him in one of these. But
he will be a dark horse. I'm not gonna lie, he's not even featured as a favorite in no means.
Well, and that's Judkins is going to be difficult because he's going to be splitting reps with another arguable top 5 back, and they're really going to be splitting. But my dark horse is going to be from Arizona. It's going to be Noah Fafita. So you've got, I think. He really is. He's really one of my favorite players in college right now. He's got a top 5 receiver who catches anything that's thrown to him. Their schedule, while it's not the hardest schedule, they do play some big games against like K-State and Utah. But if he can go in and he can just play like he was playing last year, all year, and even take a little bit of a step forward, he's kind of that dark horse to, if he has a great year, he could be the guy. My second is going to be Cam Ward. And I think that he is just kind of set up to do very well. He's on a team that is, again, my pick to win the ACC. He's
You
got
really
some good
cashing
talent
in
around
on
him.
Miami, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
But no,
Like I said, they're my ACC pick. I really like what they're doing. And Cam Ward, again, going back to what we've talked about, he was who I wanted at Ohio State. That was the guy that I wanted to come to Ohio State. So I'm really high on him. But the guy that I would put my money on this year is Jackson Dart. If I was going to put money, that's who I would select.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Judkins, and he's part of the reason, him leaving is part of the reason why I'm actually higher on Jackson Dart. Judkins being the beast of a runner that he is, when he leaves, now listen, they have great running back talent behind, or well, not behind him anymore, but they had great running back talent. They still do. But I think they're going to rely heavily on his arm. Or more heavily than they did last year. They don't have Judkins to hand the ball off to and kind of just wear the clock down. So I think that Dart is going to end up having a lot more pass attempts. I think he's going to kind of showcase his arm a lot more. And with the schedule that they have, with the fact that I think Ole Miss is going to be kind of that, and again, I think I picked them second in my SEC schools. He's the guy that I'm gonna pick to win this year.
Sure. No, and I totally get that. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you see him run more too. Like he is, they're gonna use the option a lot more with him. And it's because he's a pretty good dual threat. Like he's not the best dual threat that's in college football right now, but he's one of those. Yeah. Well, he's sneaky. He's really sneaky about it. Like, cause he does seem like he would be more of a pocket passer. And then he just takes off running. I saw a couple times last year where he did that, and I was like, "Wait, what are you doing?"
And to be fair, I was watching something that talked about his running style and how physical he is. He played linebacker.
Oh well, that makes sense.
So when you watch him like kind of go for the hit, like I read somewhere, I think I've watched a video where they said he was a linebacker and he enjoyed hitting. I was like, man, that makes a whole lot of sense, and I like him even more now.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, guys. There was a player that none of us picked that I'm kind of surprised by. Why? So no Shedeur Sanders for any of us, huh?
So if any of you saw the thumbnail, you probably are all thinking, "Oh yeah, someone's going to talk about Shedeur Sanders." No, actually, I now, since I live in Colorado, I just want to troll the Colorado fan base, and we'll put him in our thumbnail. So you never know if we're talking about Colorado or not for reals. And that's a joke that I have in there. No, we're not going to, no, he's just not. I'm sorry. They have a lot to prove, and last year did not prove it. Last year proved that he can be a little scrappy. But I think that he's a jerk off the field, and I just don't think that he's as solid on the field as people think he is. So,
I mean, I like what he can do. I like what he's capable of doing. But he's nowhere near on being, I feel like, an actual legitimate Heisman contender, nor Colorado being successful enough for him to be even considered as a finalist at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I was mainly just joking when I brought it up, but I'm seeing all these picks that they're like top 30 college football players, and Shedeur's like fifth. Just going, you got to be kidding me!
Nope.
Like he's not even the fifth best quarterback this year.
And let's not to dive too far off the beaten path here.
True.
But part of the reason why a lot of these places seem to be covering him that way is because of the fact that they want to stay in Coach Prime's good graces. Because if they don't, then clearly they've learned what happens. They don't get invited to games. They don't get invited to press conferences because Coach Prime cries a lot, obviously. And again, I don't care how good of a player he was on the field, and all the sports that he played, but his character is severely under question, is in question for me, based upon the way he's treated reporters that have disagreed with him or have just been reporters. That's what they do. That's all they do. And so it's just like, I'm like, dude, if you haven't learned how not to throw a bucket of ice onto somebody, which by the way, in some jurisdictions, that's considered assault.
Right.
Like
Evidence melted away.
and yeah, that's true. But it's like, dude, like just like you should have in your older age, you should have grown to like not be that guy. And he's hunkered down and he's doubled down and he's stayed the same. And I'm like, sure, that gives him some level of integrity because that means that he's being who he says he is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also just comes across as he only cares about his sons and Travis Hunter, and that's it. And he's gonna bail the moment that they're gone.
Yeah.
So,
well, speaking of coaches
that are
that are in the hot seat, Dion may not be in the hot seat, but let's talk about who's in the hot seat this year. Who we've got in there.
Yeah. So, I'll go first because Dennis went first last time. I actually, so the easiest people to pick would be like Billy Napier or Sam Pittman, things like that. I'm actually going to go for one that doesn't seem like he's on the hot seat right now, but if the season goes into the 3-loss territory,
okay,
he may be in the hot seat, and that's Kalen DeBoer. I personally think that the Alabama fan base, based upon what I've seen and the way that they've been acting online over the past few months, I don't think they know how to handle going 9-3. They literally think it's impossible.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, no, it is not impossible. You guys actually are playing a pretty tough schedule this year. You have to play against arguably the best team in the SEC. Then you have to go to one of your top rivals. You have to go to their school. And last time you went there, you lost. And so that's 2 games that you probably are going to drop. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
And then you've got a couple other games that you're going to have to play that are going to be tough by themselves. So I think that I don't think Kalen's going to actually be fired, but I think the fan base you're going to see, and I'm trying to changing the rules a little bit of the hot seat, but I think the fan base is going to put him on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Whether he's going to actually be on one or not.
Yeah, no. And that's what's so interesting is like Twitterverse versus like actuality.
Yeah.
Like you've got these Twitter fans, because I'll be honest, I've got friends that are Alabama fans, and none of them, all of them say, I think we're actually going to be good. However, we might go 9-3. And there might be, a couple years of players getting used to schemes, players getting used to a new coaching style, all this kind of stuff. And then you go on Twitter and you like all are seeing this. We are, we're going to win everything. We're undefeated. And you just go, I don't understand where the difference is, but yeah, I could definitely see what you're saying there.
So, I mean, the sanity is definitely not there.
The what?
The sanity in Bama is definitely not there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, arguably the sanity for most SEC teams, and I mean most bigger school teams are not there regardless online. But the team that I think is not prepared, I think the fan base that's not prepared to go 9-3.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like if Ohio State went 9-3, people would be ballistic and they would be asking for Ryan Day's head, because understandably so.
Yeah.
But
you'd be like, but I beat Michigan.
Yeah, if he beats Michigan.
Like if he goes 9-3, if he beats Michigan, then he has a fighting chance. I feel like
probably not.
Not with the amount of money they've spent. 20 million
probably not
this year, or whatever. So it's I just think I think that Alabama, because they've been spoiled for 15 years, 16 years, they may not know how to respond by a single-digit win season. And I know that this is not a coach like hot seat. I want to actually just kind of take it in a little bit. And if you guys have your own little thing here, I was thinking about this earlier today. We do these hot seats, but I was just like, I think it'd also be cool if we also did like a coach that may actually outperform what's their expectation for this year.
Gotcha.
And I'm sorry, I'm throwing this on you guys last second. I just decided in my brain that I wanted to do that right now.
Okay. I'm going to choose whoever you do.
That's fine. I think Elko. I think Elko is going to overperform. He retained a lot of the same talent that was already there at Texas A&M, and you've got a phenomenal coach. He was incredible at Duke, and I think that he, with the level of talent that he's been able to keep there, and that they're recruiting in, I think he's a far more solid coach, and he's got a better staff around him than anything that Jimbo had, who was very much on our seat last year. And so I think that we might not see a 10-2 Texas A&M, but we could see a 9-3 Texas A&M, and a Texas A&M fan base that's happy about their trajectory. The dichotomy of 9-3.
Right. Yeah. It all depends on what, where you are.
Exactly. So who else? Who wants to go next?
All right. I'll go.
Okay.
So for me, the guy who I think, obviously, like you said, Billy Napier, I think we can just kind of call that out right now. Like, Billy Napier is on the hot seat for what he's done in the past.
Yep.
The problem is that I feel with the schedule that he has, I feel really bad that he's on the hot seat, because his schedule is just, is just hard. But the guy that I'm going to go with for my hot seat is actually Clark Lee at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And I think here's the reason why. He's 9-27, and he was 2-10, I think, last year. But the person who I think kind of screwed him over, I guess you could say, is James Franklin, because I think that James Franklin kind of put this, kind of put a little bird tweeting in an ear here that, like, hey, Vanderbilt could win. Vanderbilt could be good. And James Franklin was the perfect coach for Vanderbilt. And so now you've got a fan base, you've got staff who kind of are expecting a little bit more out of their coach than probably what's realistic. So I think that's the coach that's on the biggest hot seat. Now, I will say, I think, and this is one where, like, kind of you said, you kind of gave us this little, extra credit here that we're going to go on. The guy who I think is actually that is on the hot seat but shouldn't be on the hot seat is who you brought up, Ryan Day. I think that, when you look at what he's done at Ohio State, he's the 8 losses that he has had. You look in 2019, he lost to Clemson, back when they were actually like the good version of Clemson and not the, we don't take transfers Clemson. Then they lost in 2020 in the national championship to Bama. They lost to Oregon and Michigan in 21. They lost to Michigan and then future champion Georgia in 22. And then they lost last year to Michigan and then Mizzou in the bowl game, which, let's be real, that Mizzou game was kind of a joke. Now, I think that, and they won. I'm not going to, I hear you laughing, Dennis, but I think that
I'm on full camera right here.
No, but just meaning, like, I think that the expectations, like, it's not like he's lost to Purdue. It's not like he's lost to some insignificant team. So I think that fan base wise, kind of like what you were talking about Alabama fans, I think there are a lot of Ohio State fans who have these expectations that, like, they're in the national championship every single game, every single year, and they're winning every single year. So I think that if he goes this year and he goes 9-3, he's gone. Like it or not, if he goes 9-3, if he loses to Michigan, honestly, if he doesn't make some kind of run in the playoffs, I think there's a good chance he's gone, even though I don't necessarily believe that he should be. Going on your, I don't know how you worded it, the guy who you think is going to overperform, is that kind of what?
Overperform versus expectation.
Okay. So I've got 2 that I think of kind of right off the top of my head. The first is going to be a guy that we talked about a little bit last year. He's now the coach at Indiana, and it's Kurt Cignetti. So coming from James Madison. Oh, is that who you're going to pick?
Yeah.
That really sucks, Dennis. I'm so sorry. That's, you know what? I'll tell you what. Man. I'll let you go in depth on that. I'll go to my number 2. My number 2, I'm sticking in the Big Ten, actually, going to Nebraska with Matt Rule. Okay. So I think as I think that Matt Rule is a great coach. He's actually one of my favorite coaches. I'd say probably top 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range of who I think is just a great coach. I think that Nebraska is kind of quietly putting together a good team. They're somebody who's flying under the radar a little bit. Nobody's really talking about them. They've got some kind of this weird rivalry with Colorado. I don't know if that's an actual rivalry or
it's a real rivalry. It is.
Is it a real? Okay.
It's a real rivalry. I have talked to people here and they're like, yeah, we're ready for that game. I'm like,
yeah. And so
gracious.
I know that they lost it. Yeah, I know, seriously.
Right. Everyone here.
So yeah, I was gonna try to do a Bane voice, but it was just gonna sound bad. The Batman. But I think that Matt Rule is gonna overperform. I think that he's gonna get that team. He just, the way he motivates his team is different in a good way. They got the way that they play for him. Last year was a rough year. But I think that this year he's going to have them ready. So, and so now, Dennis, I bet you're going to say Kurt Signetti.
No, I'm
going to
first.
I agree with that though. I think he's going to blow a lot of people's expectations and just how he did. But my coach in the hot seat is Lincoln Riley. I feel like if they do another, I think they finished 7-5 last year at USC. So I feel like if they get anything close to that again, he has to go. There has to be a change. The way they just kind of fell apart last year, and just he put too much focus and too much emphasis on Caleb Williams last year, where it's like, you're a coach, you should know how your team is. Like, you should have a person a second person in command, third person in command, to be able to step up when you need it. Like, they don't have to be the star player or anything like that, but like, know how your team is going to function, especially the expectation they had as a team when they were still in the pack, to be able to kind of win it all and be a playoff contender, to literally not like be anywhere around it. Like, to me, I'm like, you got to go if that's the case. If you repeat the same, any kind of, I don't even want to say success of last year, but the downfall of last year being 7-5.
When you go 7-5 with the best quarterback in the country, and you're a team like USC who should have the talent around him, like, that's just unacceptable.
And so I feel like with him, he has to go. Like, if that's the case, like, so that's going to be my hot seat. But very similar to how you said, I feel like even with Ryan Day, I feel like that one, I feel like it's a little bit more acceptable in terms of like, if he's to leave at 2 losses or anything like that, I'd be like, I could see why you guys would be mad, but you guys did put a lot of players on the field for him to use. But I feel like my coach that I feel like is going to probably outperform to a lot of people's expectation, and I hate to say it's in the Big Ten, but Kirk Ferentz, Iowa.
Okay.
No, because I didn't include him. I didn't include Iowa in my top 5. Not that I can recall. I don't think you guys did either. And I was looking at their schedule earlier, and I'm like, that's an easy schedule. They can easily go with
their Big Ten West schedule. It's crazy.
Like, they still ended up keeping that. So even though they had, I believe, like 4 losses last year, I feel like nobody's expecting them to be. We weren't to be competitive, let alone in the Big Ten alone. And I wouldn't be surprised if they, after seeing their schedule, even with the non-existent.
I had them in my top 5. Let's be real. I had them in my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that you made fun of me for having them in my top 5.
I did.
So now I've got to come back and I've got to say,
offense, I still believe they'll do better.
Yeah, because I specifically remember saying they had a top 5, top 10 defense and a bottom offense. Yeah,
their offense wasn't even included in the charts.
So Dennis is over here talking out both sides of his mouth. He wants to make fun of me one day,
and
then picks the team.
Entire time.
I'm taking a pie from Michael's Humble Pie when it comes to it.
Here's the thing. This is not the first year that Luke has put Iowa pretty high up on his radar, because he kept them in his top 25 last year. I remember this. because I was like, why? Iowa does not need to be there. And I think Iowa proved it last year. They didn't need to be there. The fact that
but they always are.
I get it.
It's the
Well,
schedule.
here's the thing. Schedule. Well, kind of. Here's the thing. They consistently won in a weak Big Ten West. They would win the West and they would show up in the championship. So it gave people credence that they were really good. Now they actually don't have that to lean on. And so if they go 10-2 and 2 of their drops are to other Big Ten teams, they're not going to be in the championship.
Oh, 100%. I 100% agree, which is why I have them top. Like, I think I had them 5th, if I remember correctly.
Sure.
But no, all I'm saying is Iowa, like, I'm with you. Like, I think that they're that team that
they can
that shouldn't be there, but is always there. Like, kind of like Notre Dame. They shouldn't be there, but they always are.
Notre Dame of the Big Ten.
Just manage it.
If Notre Dame chose a conference, it'll be
a different story. I feel like it'll be a very different story.
Iowa? I don't understand where we're going.
I don't know.
Well, speaking of the Fighting Irish, people will be fighting in Ireland this weekend for our game of the week.
They do that every weekend.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be fighting over 2 teams that are never there. And weirdly enough, another team with golden helmets is going to be there this year. I don't understand that. Like last year it was Notre Dame, and then this year, actually, we got 2 teams with golden helmets. Does Georgia Tech have golden helmets too?
Do they?
I'm trying to think.
They do. That like, it's like a shade of yellow. I don't know if it's a golden, but
sure.
Find out right now. Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll look it up.
It's called Old Gold.
Old Gold.
Old Gold.
Gotcha.
That's the actual Georgia Tech.
So yeah.
Like,
so you got the new gold.
It looks weathered.
Yeah, weathered.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a dragon's been sleeping on it for hundreds of years.
From the last time they were.
Yeah, the last.
Well, so this is a middle of the day game. It's going to be, I mean, it's on ESPN. It's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If Georgia Tech shows up, rolls out like they did at the end of last year, that's going to be a tough matchup. Yeah, like, Autobots. I don't know if that's where you're
I was thinking about, like, I think it was an old Ludacris song.
Oh.
Roll out. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael doesn't know about that.
I am way too white. And
I am too, but I still like.
Well,
that's on my like. Wow. Now
Franklin.
CD. Yeah.
Well,
Did I.
Franklin White.
I was homeschooled. Wasn't allowed to listen to that stuff.
He thought Ludacris. We were still talking about the Bible. That's how white Michael is.
Right.
No, you say Luda. I'm like, what book of the Bible is that in? Is that in Job? Anyways, I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be cool. Like this is the type of game where it's a neutral site game where it feels like a legitimate neutral site game.
I mean, they have to go to a whole different continent.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah, but like it's just fun. Like I can't think of another country that I would love to share the love of college football with than Ireland, because I feel like they get it. Like I know they get it with soccer or football or whatever they want to call it, but like there's just something about, and I know they love rugby too, but like there's just something more like rugby with American football that I just feel like they can appreciate more. So.
I feel like they're one of the few. It's like America, Ireland, Germany that are just like, let's go get drunk and watch sports.
Yeah,
like that. Like those are like
there's alcohol involved a lot.
Yes. So like they're pre-gaming for like a week beforehand. So
that's right.
But I mean, I think it'll be. Florida State's one of those teams that I'm really interested to see what they look like this year. You go back to last year with everything that went on with their, getting snubbed, with getting hurt, their quarterback getting hurt, them getting snubbed, whether or not you agree that it was a snub or a good call, whatever it may be, and then the drubbing that they took from Georgia. again, we won't get into all the details of all that, but it's like, what's this team going to look like? Are they going to come out this year swinging? Are they going to, are they going to have taken a step back? Are they going to come in to dominate the ACC? It's really going to be telling. And then Georgia Tech is that team that, nobody's really expecting. Yeah, nobody's expecting anything from them. It's like, oh, it's Georgia Tech. They'll come in, they'll win, 6 to 8 games. And like, there you go. There's their year. But they're not a bad team. And they have very good they're capable of coming in and upsetting Florida State very easily, in my opinion. So it's just, and especially like you said, neutral site, both of them had to travel, not just like a 3-hour airplane ride. This is a cross-continental flight. They're both in different, this is where you're going to see teams like Georgia Tech upset Florida State in a situation like this. So it's going to be a fun game.
Yep. Because it's also the first game of the year.
Yep.
Teams haven't figured out their groove yet.
Yep.
Mind you, keep in mind, Florida State's DJ Ugalele is also a potential Heisman candidate too, as well.
Yep.
He is one every year.
He's on his third try.
Yeah. He's been a Heisman candidate for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
From coast to coast.
Right.
Literally.
The first person to be a Heisman candidate in 4 separate schools.
I think if there is any head coach that can make the most out of him and his talent and refine him the most, it's definitely going to be Mike at FSU. Like you're dealing with regardless of how I feel about the way FSU and their team handled the end of last year, and the way that I feel like they didn't restock as much as other teams in the portal, outside the ACC, I should say. I hands down still one of the best coaching staffs in all of college football.
Oh yeah.
So
I agree with that. And you can't, Dennis, you brought this up earlier, Delaware is flying out to Hawaii, right?
I mean, they're trying to. They missed.
They missed the flight. Now, do we know
for them?
Did they miss the flight, or was the flight delayed or?
No, so it seems like actually they missed the flight because of bus issues, transportation issues, just getting to the airport.
We know that buses don't fly.
I don't know if they know that.
That's Delaware's first problem.
They're also crossing an ocean, so that could be a difference. One's got to cross the Atlantic, one's got to cross the Pacific. So
is
that's
it the Magic School Bus. Is that what they're using?
So yeah, what they're saying. So here's what I'm seeing. Delaware State made headlines when they missed their initial flight earlier on Tuesday. Wirtz motor coaches took the blame for the missed flight due to a delay in picking up the team. So
imagine you trying to charter another flight for at least 80 players, not including coaches or anything like that, in a short amount of time. Like right now, last time I checked, Hawaii was the favorite by 40 points. They got to be the favorite by 70, 80 points.
Right.
Now, if Delaware does show up.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm seeing something else here. Wirtz motor coaches owned by former Hawaii. No, I'm just kidding.
Create controversy.
Right. Yeah. Fake news.
I got Hawaii on that. I got my swollen Mexicans on that side.
Right. Swollen Mexicans.
Oh man. Well, all those Delaware State fans that flew out there, they're going to have to sub in on the field, I guess, to play against Hawaii. Weirdly enough, probably still have a pretty good chance.
Just as good of a chance.
I would take that. You mean I get to be in Hawaii and play ball? Shoot.
Sure.
Knees were still stiff from the flight over.
That's right. That's right. Well, again, thank you all for anybody that joined in the chat or was watching for our first live stream.
Hey, thanks, Trey Jones. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, he texted earlier. He did earlier. I should have put that on the screen. I forget that I can do these things now. We'll get better at this as we go along.
We will.
We're gonna do these live streams every Tuesday night, and it'll be 8:30 Central. So that's 9:30 Eastern, and 7:30 Mountain West time.
6:30 Pacific time.
6:30 Pacific time. I mean, somebody get me Shanghai time. I don't,
What about in Dublin?
what is it?
What about in Dublin?
Dublin, I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
Right.
But anyways, again, we do appreciate y'all joining us tonight, and come back next week as we kind of recap week 0 and we talk about week 1.
Week 1, baby.
Week 1.